The pixelated images of Burma's civil unrest have brought international attention in recent weeks to a struggle nearly half a century old. In 1962, just 14 years after gaining independence from the British, the Southeast Asian country came under military rule. In 1988, mass protests led to 3,000 deaths in a new ruling junta, whose authority went largely unchallenged until this August, when huge increases in fuel costs catalyzed long-held frustrations and led to the largest protests since '88. What's different this time is technology. YouTube beamed brutal images around the world, such as this killing of a Japanese photographer, eliciting immediate international attention. Last week, UN envoy Ibrahim Gambari met with both ruling General Than Shwe and opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi, whose party dominated a 1990 election only to have the results annulled and the leader put under house arrest for 12 of the last 18 years.
Every year.
At a forum Friday in New York, one Buddhist monk called in by satellite phone, proving even government efforts to curtail communication haven't been wholly successful. Among those speaking in person were Aung Din, who spent 4 years in prison for helping organize the '88 pro-democracy uprising.
International community did not pay attention to Burma at that time.
And Maureen Aung-Thwin, director of the Open Society Institute's Burma Project. We spoke in the wake of a government crackdown, which has seemingly succeeded in ending the street demonstrations that made international headlines. Are the protests over?
No, they're not over. They have taken another direction. They're doing more, less physical demonstrations of non-violent struggle. They're turning off lights at a certain time. They're switching off their televisions when the hour when the state-controlled TV comes on, that kind of thing.
Aung Din, where is this going? Not in the next year or 2 years, but in the next week or month?
So many leaders of the '88 generation students, also the Buddhist monk, leadership of the All Burma Monks Alliance, they are still at large. They are in hiding, they are trying to regroup themselves. I believe that they will come back soon, but I don't know how long it will be. But for me, they have done enough. They have done courageously.
The '88 leaders have.
I think they have done very significantly to wake up the international community to respond to the situation in Burma. So this is our duty to carry on what they have started. So now we have to work hard to organize the international community to stand together instead of having division between the Western countries and Asia countries. We are trying to push those countries to work on a simple solution, simple plan.
And what is the solution? Is it a change of government, or is it a change in the current government?
No, not exactly. We are not calling for the regime change. We are calling for the political dialogue among the military junta, the election winning party, National for Democracy, and ethnic representatives. If they sit down together, they discuss for the sake of the national reconciliation, and they will shape the future of the country. And whatever solution comes out from that kind of political dialogue, we will be happy to accept it.
I think this is really interesting with everything that's happened there with this junta. You think that you can come to an agreeable outcome with them?
What we need is pressure, because the leadership everywhere are the same. They will not listen to the very beautiful voice. You can denounce them, you can shout as loud as you can to condemn their activities, but they will not care, they will not listen, unless you apply significant pressure on them. So now
can that happen from inside the country, or it has to happen from outside as well?
Both. This is a current revolution, current protest. They are the pressure from inside. So we also need the pressure from outside. We want all the countries to put significant pressure, quality pressure on the region to enter the political dialogue.
What's different this time than in '88?
There are two differences. I will say at least 3 differences. First, In 1988, we didn't have the information technology, so we were not able to get all the information out of the country. But this time, we have the information technology, and the smarter young generation, they are able to deliver the message out of the country.
We see all these pictures on YouTube and everywhere else. It's been very helpful for the international community.
Of course.
Have those images got back into the country?
Actually, there are two ways. They send out the messages out of the country. We also deliver the information from the international community, what we are doing here, what kind of government, which government are working on, or on what situation. They are also receiving the information from us. So these are two ways in and out of the country.
You know, the people of Burma don't have any access to real media, so they don't know what's happening in their own country. So what happens is that there are, for example, there are 4 Burmese broadcasting news services from outside, the BBC, Voice of America, Radio Free Asia, and Democratic Voice of Burma. And these are daily broadcasts. So they're telling the people of Burma, who have a radio, and a lot of people do, what's happening in their own country. Because otherwise they don't know, they only get the propaganda. I'd like to make a comment about the military regime and how the Democrats are willing to talk. We have no choice because they're not going to go anywhere. They're like the largest institution in the country. And, you know, culturally, they're just not the types who would go to the, you know, southern France or go into exile. They just won't go. So that being said, if you study some of the Eastern European revolutions that in the late 80s and early 90s, some of the mistakes were made because they had an extreme change, totally. It's like the Iraqi army being fired. That doesn't work. You have to.
Right, where are those 400,000 people going to go?
That's right.
So where do you see it going then?
Well, as Aung Din said, the whole secret is to start the dialogue, because when they start talking to each other, you know, they will come to some kind of probably some kind of a power sharing stage before before it evolves. There's no way they're going to vacate the government and then the Democrats rush in. That's almost impossible to imagine.